The stars looked different from this part of space. Captain James Walker stood on the bridge of the Earth Coalition vessel Perseverance, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. The Vex homeworld hung there like a massive blue-green jewel, surrounded by a web of orbital stations that glinted in the light of its sun. "Nervous, Captain?" asked Lisa Torres, his second in command. Her dark hair was pulled back in the tight bun she always wore on important missions. Walker shook his head. Cautious. The Vex haven't shown much interest in making friends before now. Torres nodded. Everyone on the diplomatic mission knew what was at stake. Humanity had spread to a dozen colony worlds in the last century, but the Vex Dominion controlled hundreds. Their technology was advanced, their ships faster and stronger than anything Earth had built so far. Making peace with them wasn't just good politics, it might be necessary for survival. "They're sending the docking instructions now," said the communications officer. "They want only you and Commander Torres to come aboard their station at first." Walker nodded. "Standard procedure. Keep the ship ready just in case." The shuttle ride to the Vex station was short but tense. Walker studied his reflection in the window. At 45, his face showed the lines of someone who had carried responsibility for too long. His brown hair had patches of gray at the temples. The uniform he wore felt stiff and formal, but appropriate for humanity's first official meeting with the Vex leadership. "Remember," he told Torres as they neared the docking bay, "they value directness but consider emotional displays a sign of weakness." "I've studied the briefing materials too, James," Torres replied with a small smile. "I won't embarrass Earth by crying or laughing at the wrong moment." The docking bay was massive, clearly built for ships much larger than their small shuttle. The architecture was all angles and sharp edges, with no curves or soft lines anywhere. It matched what they knew of Vex psychology: practical, efficient, and without concern for comfort or beauty. 5 Vex waited for them. Walker had seen images before, but the reality was more imposing. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, their bodies covered in a hard exoskeleton that looked metallic, but was actually a biological feature. Their 4 arms ended in 3-fingered hands, and their triangular heads housed large compound eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. The one in the center stepped forward. "I am Elder Krill," it said, its voice coming through the translation device with a mechanical flatness. "I speak for the Vex High Command in these discussions." Walker bowed slightly. "Captain James Walker of Earth. This is Commander Lisa Torres. We bring greetings from the Earth Coalition and hope for productive talks." The Vex didn't return the gesture. "Follow," Krill said simply, turning and walking toward a large doorway. The other Vex fell into formation around the humans, not quite guards but definitely watching. The meeting room was large and spare, with a table made of some dark material that looked like stone but felt warm to the touch. Walker and Torres sat on one side, while Krill and 2 other Vex sat opposite. "We monitor your expansion," Krill began without preamble. "Your species grows quickly. 12 worlds in less than a century." Walker nodded. "We seek new homes and resources, but we have no interest in territory claimed by others. That's why establishing diplomatic relations with the Dominion is important to us." Krill's compound eyes seemed to shimmer slightly. "Your technological progress is also rapid. Our data shows your weapons capability has doubled in 20 years. Defensive technology," Torres clarified. "We've had encounters with the Krell that made improvements necessary." One of the other Vex leaned over and made a series of clicking sounds to Krill. The translator didn't catch it, but Walker noticed how Krill's posture stiffened afterward. "We will continue these discussions tomorrow," Krill announced suddenly. "You will be shown to your quarters." Walker frowned. "We had hoped to cover the trade proposal today." "Tomorrow," Krill repeated, standing to signal the end of the meeting. That night, in the sparse quarters they had been given, Walker and Torres discussed the abrupt ending to the talks. "They're worried about something," Torres said, keeping her voice low. "Did you notice how they reacted when you mentioned the Krell?" Walker nodded. The Vex and Krell have their own history, but there's something else going on. I've received 3 messages from different colony worlds about Vex ships being spotted near their space. Scouts? Torres asked. Maybe, but why now, during peace talks? A chime at their door interrupted them. When it slid open, a different Vex stood there, smaller than the others they had seen. I am Miv, it said quietly. A scientist. I must speak with you. Walker gestured for Miv to enter. The alien glanced nervously down the corridor before stepping inside. The High Command has received reports, Miv said without prelude. They believe humans are developing quantum displacement weapons. Walker's eyes widened. That's not true. Those are theoretical concepts only. We have no such weapons program. Others believe differently, Miv replied. There are those who see your species as a future threat that should be addressed now. Torres stepped forward. Are you saying they're planning to attack us during peace negotiations? I say nothing, Miv answered, backing toward the door. I only suggest you prepare for possibilities. After Miv left, Walker tried to contact the Perseverance, but found communications were being blocked. This isn't good, he muttered. 4 hours later, they were awakened by the sound of their door being locked from the outside. Walker tried the communication panel again. Nothing. We're prisoners, Torres said grimly. At that same moment, across space, 3 Vex battle fleets emerged from hyperspace near the human colony worlds of Horizon, New Terra, and Arcadia. Without warning or declaration, they opened fire. On Horizon, Mark Davis was teaching his daughter to fish in the lake near their home when the sky turned red with fire. The orbital defense stations didn't even have time to activate before they were destroyed. On New Terra, the capital city of Hope's Landing had just begun its day when the bombardment started. The governor managed to send one desperate message to Earth before the communications center was reduced to rubble. On Arcadia, the farming colony had no defenses at all. 18,000 people vanished in the first hour of the attack. Back on the Vex station, Walker and Torres felt the subtle vibration as the station's engines powered up. Through their small window, they watched as the Perseverance was surrounded by Vex military vessels. What's happening? Torres asked, though she already suspected the answer. Walker's face was grim. They're making a mistake, he said quietly. One they'll regret for generations to come. On the bridge of the lead Vex battleship, Elder Krill received the reports from the attack fleets. The human colonies have been neutralized, reported a military officer. Their defenses were minimal. And their response? Krill asked. None yet. Their communications are in chaos. Krill made a gesture of satisfaction. They will understand now. Humans will learn their place in the galaxy, or they will not survive in it. The officer hesitated. Some argue this action was premature. Weakness invites aggression, Krill replied. Remember that. But as the Vex fleet moved away, confident in their show of power, they failed to understand a fundamental truth about the species they had just attacked. Humans did not forget, and they would not forgive. The hunt was about to begin. Admiral Thomas Reed stood before the remains of Earth's United Defense Council. His uniform was crisp, but his eyes were red from lack of sleep. The emergency meeting room deep beneath Old Denver had been in continuous use for 3 days since the attacks. The final casualty reports are in, he said, his voice steady despite the weight of the news he carried. Horizon, 4.2 million dead. New Terra, 3.7 million. Arcadia, all 18,000 colonists lost. Silence filled the room. The 12 council members stared at the holographic displays showing the ruins of once thriving colonies. And the Perseverance? Asked Councillor Maria Chen, her face pale under the harsh lighting. Reed shook his head. No contact since the attacks began. We must assume Captain Walker, Commander Torres, and the entire diplomatic team have been lost. Robert Patel, the youngest council member, slammed his fist on the table. This was a calculated strike. They met with us in bad faith, while planning to hit our most vulnerable colonies. We agree, Reed said. Intelligence suggests the Vex believe we're developing advanced weapons that threaten them. It appears they chose a preemptive strike rather than diplomatic channels. What's our response? Counselor Chen asked, her voice now hard with controlled anger. The Vex control hundreds of worlds. Their fleet is at least 5 times the size of ours. Admiral Reed straightened to his full height. They believe they've taught us fear, he stated grimly. We will teach them regret. He activated a new hologram showing a complex series of military plans and ship designs. This is the Prometheus Protocol. It was developed after our first encounters with the Krell species as a contingency plan for existential threats. The council members leaned forward, studying the displays. Every shipyard on Earth and our remaining colonies will be converted to military production. Reed continued. All civilian spacecraft larger than 200 meters will be retrofitted for military use. Universal conscription for anyone with spaceflight or combat experience. You're talking about putting our entire civilization on a war footing, Counselor Patel said. Reed nodded. The Vex expect us to cower, to negotiate from a position of weakness. They don't understand what they've done. He pressed a button, and the hologram changed to show a new type of ship design. These are long-range pursuit vessels, faster and more maneuverable than anything we've built before. They sacrifice heavy armor for speed and stealth capabilities. They won't win in direct confrontation with Vex battleships, but they don't need to. What's their purpose? Chen asked. Reed's eyes were cold. To hunt. Across the galaxy, on a Vex prison station orbiting a small moon, Captain James Walker paced his cell. The space was barely large enough for his human frame, clearly designed for species smaller than the Vex themselves. In the cell next to his, Commander Torres sat with her back against the wall, eyes closed but alert. That's the 3rd patrol in the last hour, she murmured as footsteps passed their cells. Something's got them agitated. Walker nodded. They've attacked our colonies by now. They wouldn't have imprisoned us otherwise. Earth will respond, Torres said. Yes, Walker agreed. But the Vex don't understand what that means. The footsteps returned, then stopped outside their cells. The energy field dimmed, and a small Vex appeared. Walker recognized Miv, the scientist who had warned them. Quickly, Miv said, glancing down the corridor. I have disabled surveillance for 3 minutes only. Why are you helping us? Torres asked as they stepped from their cells. The High Command's decision was incorrect, Miv replied, leading them through dimly lit corridors. Not all Vex support this action. Follow me to the shuttle bay. They moved through the station, hiding whenever patrol groups approached. Miv's knowledge of the security systems proved invaluable. The Vex believe humans will submit after the demonstration of force, Miv explained as they reached a maintenance tunnel. Is this accurate? Walker's laugh was bitter. No. Your leaders have made a terrible miscalculation. Humans fought 3 wars among ourselves before we even left our home planet. Torres added, we don't surrender easily. They reached the small shuttle bay where a single transport vessel waited. Miv moved to the control panel and began entering codes. This shuttle has limited range, the Vex explained, but it will reach the communication relay on the 5th moon. From there, you may be able to contact your people. Come with us, Walker said. You've committed treason by helping us. They'll execute you. Miv's head tilted in what might have been resignation. I must return to my duties. The consequences of this attack will affect all Vex. I must work to minimize them from within. As they boarded the shuttle, Miv handed Torres a small device. This contains the coordinates of major Vex military installations and hyperspace routes. It may help your people. The shuttle launched without incident, slipping away from the prison station undetected. Walker took the controls while Torres examined the device Miv had given them. This is everything, James, she said, her voice hushed with awe. Fleet positions, defense capabilities, colony locations. This could give Earth a fighting chance. Walker nodded grimly. We need to reach that relay. The shuttle was halfway to the moon when alarms blared. 3 Vex patrol ships appeared on the sensors, closing quickly. They found us, Torres said. Walker pushed the engines beyond safety limits. We only need to get close enough to the relay to transmit the data. The patrol ships opened fire. The shuttle rocked as energy blasts struck its shields. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. Shields failing, Walker announced. Torres, prepare to transmit at maximum power when I say. He swung the shuttle in a wide arc, putting the bulk of the moon between them and their pursuers. It bought them precious seconds to close the distance to the relay. Now, Walker shouted as they came into range. Torres activated the transmitter, sending the contents of Miv's device along with a message from Walker. The data streamed toward Earth, carrying the locations of their enemies and a promise. No matter how far they run, tell them we're coming. The patrol ships reappeared, weapons firing. A direct hit shook the shuttle violently. The engines died, and emergency systems activated as atmosphere vented from multiple hull breaches. Did it all transmit? Walker asked, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Torres checked the system. Yes, Earth will know where to find them. As their shuttle drifted, systems failing and life support fading, Walker stared out at the stars. In the distance, he could see the Vex ships approaching to capture or destroy them. They think this is the end, he said quietly. Torres reached over and gripped his hand. No, this is just the beginning. On Earth, Admiral Reed received Walker's transmission. The coordinates of Vex military installations appeared on screens throughout the command center. The message that followed brought a cold smile to Reed's face. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. The hunt begins. 5 years passed. In the central chamber of the Vex High Command, Elder Krill stood before the Leadership Council. His exoskeleton had darkened with age, giving him a more imposing appearance than when he had first met the humans. The border dispute with the Talari Confederation requires our attention, Krill stated, pointing to a star map. They have moved forces into the narrow sector despite our warnings. Commander Draz, the military leader who had overseen the attacks on the human colonies, made a dismissive gesture. The Talari are cautious. They test our resolve but will not risk open conflict. And what of the humans? Asked a younger council member. Our deep space monitors show increased activity in their remaining systems. Draz clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among the Vex. The humans rebuild their colonies. Their military vessels stay within their borders. Our demonstration was effective. Krill nodded slowly. 5 years with no retaliation suggests they have accepted their position. Perhaps we should consider it diplomatic. An aide rushed into the chamber, breaking protocol. Forgive the interruption, the aide said, bowing low. We have lost contact with Mining Outpost 47. Draz straightened. Communications malfunction, most likely. The asteroid belt in that system causes frequent disruptions. No, Commander. We have also lost contact with research stations in the Cora and Vexus systems. All at the same time. The council chamber fell silent. 3 facilities, in different star systems, going dark simultaneously was not a coincidence. Send investigation teams, Krill ordered. Full military escort. Far from the Vex homeworld, Fleet Commander Marcus Denton stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Nemesis. 5 years of training and preparation had transformed him from a colony defense officer into the leader of humanity's most elite fighting force. Mining outpost neutralized, reported his tactical officer. No survivors, no communication sent. Denton nodded. Transmit the message, then prepare to jump to the next target. On the main view screen, the remains of the Vex outpost drifted in space. What had been a busy mining operation with over 300 Vex workers was now a field of debris. The attack had been swift, precise, and merciless. Before the Nemesis disappeared into hyperspace, it broadcast a simple message in the Vex language. Remember Horizon. Across Vex space, 11 other human vessels were completing similar missions. Each strike team had trained for years for this single day, the beginning of what humanity called the Long Hunt. 2 weeks later, Elder Krill reviewed the damage reports with growing concern. 12 facilities attacked on the same day, all completely destroyed. No survivors, no witnesses. The humans, he said quietly. Commander Draz paced the room. Impossible. They don't have the fleet strength or the technology to reach so deep into our territory. An intelligence officer entered with a data tablet. We've analyzed the message transmitted at each attack site, she reported. Remember Horizon? It refers to one of their colonies we neutralized 5 years ago. They waited, Krill realized. 5 years of preparation. Our border sensors detected nothing, Draz insisted. No fleet could penetrate. They didn't send a fleet, Krill interrupted. The attack patterns suggest small, fast ships, stealth technology beyond what we believe humans possessed. Draz's compound eyes flashed with anger. This changes nothing. The Dominion spans hundreds of worlds. We will increase security at key installations and catch these raiders when they strike again. Krill wasn't convinced. We should open communication channels, offer reparations for the colonies. End this before it escalates. Weakness. Draz slammed his upper arms on the table. We do not negotiate with inferior species who strike from the shadows. Then prepare your forces, Commander, Krill said grimly, because I fear this is only the beginning. On the edge of Vex space, the Nemesis rendezvoused with the Vengeance, another ship from the pursuit fleet. Both vessels powered down non-essential systems to maintain stealth. Commander Denton met with Captain Alex Rivera of the Vengeance in a secure briefing room. Phase 1 complete, Rivera reported. All teams hit their targets successfully. Minimal damage to our ships. Denton nodded. The Vex are scrambling to protect their core worlds. They're pulling forces from the outer regions exactly as Admiral Reed predicted. They'll adapt quickly, Rivera warned. Our next strikes will face stronger resistance. That's why we're changing tactics, Denton explained, bringing up a holographic map. Phase 2 isn't about military targets. We're hitting their supply lines, communication relays, and trade routes. Rivera studied the new targets. Economic warfare. The Vex Empire is too large to destroy piece by piece, Denton said, but we can make it impossible to maintain. Every resource they commit to defense is one they can't use elsewhere. Every trade ship that refuses to fly their routes weakens them. And the message changes. Denton's face was grim. Yes. Remember New Terra. 3 months later, a Vex merchant vessel drifted through space, its engines destroyed but life support still functioning. The crew huddled in the central chamber, listening to the sound of human boarding parties moving through their ship. The captain, a veteran trader named Tav, had heard the stories. The humans didn't kill civilians, not directly. They disabled engines, took navigational data, and left crews stranded for Vex rescue teams to find days or weeks later. The door to the chamber slid open. A human in black combat armor stood there, face hidden behind a reflective visor. Your ship is disabled, the human said in perfect Vex language. Emergency beacon activated. Help will come eventually. Why are you doing this? Tav asked. We carry agricultural supplies, not weapons. The human tilted its head slightly. Your empire attacked without warning. Killed millions of civilians. Did you protest then? Before Tav could answer, the human tossed something onto the floor, a small holographic projector. Then the boarding party left as quickly as they had arrived. The projector activated, showing images of New Terra before and after the Vex attack. The thriving colony reduced to ash and rubble. The message was clear. This was not random violence. This was calculated retribution. By the time Vex rescue ships arrived, the human vessels were long gone, disappeared into the vastness of space to prepare for their next strike. On the Vex homeworld, the High Command faced growing unrest. Trade guilds demanded more protection for their ships. Colonial governors requested additional defense forces. Military commanders struggled to predict where the humans would strike next. "They're everywhere and nowhere," Draz admitted reluctantly during an emergency session. "Small strike teams operating independently, hitting targets across our territory with no discernible pattern." "There is a pattern," Krill countered. "They're hunting us. Methodically, patiently, relentlessly." A science advisor named Miv, recently promoted to the advisory council, spoke up. "The humans sent us a warning before we attacked them. Their Captain Walker said humans don't forget, and they don't forgive. I believe we are seeing the truth of those words." Commander Draz glared at the scientist. "Your solution, then?" Miv met his gaze steadily. "Find a way to make peace or prepare for a very long war." As the debate continued, reports arrived of another human strike, deeper in Vex territory than ever before. The hunt continued. 10 years into what humans called the Long Hunt, the Vex Dominion was no longer the unquestioned power it once had been. In the Grand Council chamber that had once hosted representatives from 100 vassal worlds, barely 30 seats were now filled. Elder Krill, his exoskeleton now bearing the deep purple hue of advanced age, studied the faces of those who remained. Fear had replaced the arrogance that once characterized these meetings. "The Talari Confederation has formally ended our trade agreement," announced a guild representative. "They claim our shipping lanes are too dangerous. The Rukal have withdrawn from our defense pact," added a military officer. "Their ambassador stated they cannot risk being associated with the Dominion while we are subject to human attention," as they phrased it. Commander Draz, once the proud architect of the attack on human colonies, now looked worn down. The constant stress of failing to stop the human strikes had taken its toll. "Our military resources are stretched to breaking point," Draz admitted. "We maintain heavy defenses at our core worlds and major production facilities, but we cannot protect everything. The outer colonies are essentially on their own." "And still the humans come," Krill said quietly. "Yes," Draz hissed. "Always in small numbers, always striking where we are weakest, always vanishing before we can respond in force." Miv, now a senior advisor, brought up a holographic display. "This shows confirmed human attacks over the past decade. Note how they have systematically targeted our infrastructure, not just military installations, but food production, fuel processing, communication networks." The display showed hundreds of points of light spread across the map of Vex territory, forming a web of destruction that had slowly tightened around their civilization. "They are not trying to defeat us in battle," Miv continued. "They are dismantling our empire piece by piece." A troubled silence fell over the council chamber. "What do they want?" asked a colony governor. "Why haven't they made demands?" Krill's compound eyes dimmed slightly. "Because this isn't about demands. This is about justice. About consequences." Admiral Lisa Torres stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Retribution. At 52, her hair was now completely gray, but her eyes remained sharp and focused. The decade of war had changed her, hardened her in ways she sometimes didn't recognize. "Status report," she ordered. Her executive officer, Commander Ryan Chen, brought up the tactical display. "Strike Team 7 has completed its mission in the Vex mining sector. Strike Teams 3 and 9 are en route to their targets in the agricultural belt." Torres nodded. "Casualties. We lost 2 crew members on Team 4 when their shuttle malfunctioned," Chen reported grimly. "Total losses remain under 3% of operational forces. It was a remarkably low casualty rate for a decade-long campaign, but Torres felt every loss personally. The pursuit fleet operated with minimal personnel. Each ship carried only what crew was absolutely necessary, making every death significant. The latest intelligence from deep cover operatives suggests the Vex central government is facing serious internal challenges," Chen continued. "At least 3 outer colony worlds have stopped sending resources to the core systems. The pressure is working," Torres said, studying the map. Red markers showed confirmed successful strikes, while blue markers indicated planned future targets. There were far more red than blue now. "Admiral," Chen said hesitantly, "the crew has been asking, when does this end? We've been hunting the Vex for 10 years. Their empire is crumbling. Their military can barely maintain patrols in their own systems." Torres looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 15 years ago, James Walker had died after sending that critical intelligence back to Earth. She wondered what he would think of what they had accomplished and what they had become. "It ends when they understand," she said finally. "Truly understand what they did." In a small chamber adjacent to the Vexed High Command Center, Miv met with a select group of like-minded officials. "The peace faction grows stronger each day," reported one, a regional governor named Lisk. "Even military officers are quietly suggesting it is time to open negotiations with the humans." "Draz and his supporters still control the military," warned another. "They insist surrender is unthinkable." Miv's head tilted in what humans would recognize as a sad smile. Ironic. "They fear appearing weak more than they fear the collapse of our civilization." "What do you suggest?" asked Lisk. "We need to establish direct communication with the humans," Miv said. "Not official channels. Draz monitors those. We need to send a message through the shadows, the same way they reach us." The others shifted uncomfortably. "How would we even contact them?" Miv activated a small device. "I've been studying their attack patterns. There's a logic to them, a rhythm. I believe I can predict where they will strike next. If I'm right, we can be waiting with a message, not weapons." 2 weeks later, a human strike team boarded what appeared to be an abandoned Vex research station. Led by Captain Miguel Santos, the team moved through darkened corridors with practiced efficiency. "Life signs," Santos asked his sensor operator. "Just one," came the reply. "In the central lab. Not moving." Santos signaled for caution as they approached the lab doors. What they found inside was unexpected. A single Vex, standing unarmed in the center of the room. "I am Miv," the Vex said. "I have been waiting for you." Santos kept his weapon trained on the alien. "This station was supposed to be empty." "It is, except for me." Miv carefully raised one hand, holding a data crystal. "I have a message for Admiral Torres. From those of us who seek peace." Santos hesitated. "This wasn't in the mission parameters. I knew Captain Walker and Commander Torres 15 years ago," Miv continued. "I helped them escape after the attack on your colonies. Now I seek to finish what I started then." After a moment's consideration, Santos lowered his weapon slightly. "What's on the crystal?" "An offer. And the access codes to bypass the defenses around our homeworld." Miv set the crystal on a table between them. "The time has come to end this hunt, one way or another." Back on the Vex homeworld, Commander Draz burst into Krill's private chamber without announcement. "Traitors," he snarled. "The peace faction has gone too far this time." Krill remained calm. "What has happened?" "Someone has transmitted security codes to the humans. Our long-range sensors have detected a single human vessel approaching the homeworld, somehow bypassing our outer defense grid." Krill's compound eyes flickered with what might have been hope. "Perhaps it's time we listen to what they have to say." Draz's mandibles clicked in fury. "You've lost your nerve, old one. I've ordered the planetary defense batteries to destroy the human ship on site." As he stormed out, Krill moved to his communication panel. The future of the Vex race might depend on what happened in the next few hours. The final confrontation was about to begin. The human vessel diplomacy drifted in high orbit above the Vex homeworld. Despite its name, the ship was heavily armed, a necessary precaution even when carrying an olive branch. On the bridge, Admiral Lisa Torres stood with her hands clasped behind her back, studying the blue-green planet below. 15 years had passed since she had last seen this world, when she and Captain Walker had come as peaceful representatives of humanity. "Multiple targeting systems have locked onto us," reported her tactical officer. "Planetary defense batteries are powering up." Torres nodded calmly. Hold position. Shields at maximum, but do not power weapons. Let's see if Miv's friends can keep their promise. Minutes ticked by intense silence. The crew watched their sensor displays, ready to jump to hyperspace if the defense is fired. Incoming transmission, announced the communications officer. On screen, Torres ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, showing the aged face of Elder Krill. Torres recognized him immediately, though his exoskeleton had darkened considerably with age. Admiral Torres, Krill said, his voice carrying a note of surprise. You survived. I did, Torres replied evenly. Captain Walker did not. He died ensuring that we would find you, no matter how long it took. Krill's compound eyes dimmed slightly. I see the humans have sent their most dedicated hunter to discuss peace. Is that what this is? That depends on what you're offering, Torres said. The pursuit fleet stands ready to continue our campaign for another 15 years if necessary. Before Krill could respond, the transmission was interrupted. Commander Draz appeared, mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. This human vessel will be destroyed in accordance with defense protocols, Draz announced. The order has already been given. Krill turned away from the camera. I have overridden that order as head of the High Command. Your authority is being questioned by the Military Council, Draz hissed. This is weakness. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge of the diplomacy in silence. That went well, Torres remarked dryly. Tactical, be ready for evasive maneuvers. Before the officer could respond, another transmission came through, on a different frequency. Admiral Torres, came Miv's voice. I apologize for the confusion. Please hold your position. Elder Krill is securing your safe passage to the surface. Recent events have accelerated the political situation here. Torres raised an eyebrow. Recent events. Your arrival coincides with what some are calling a governmental restructuring. Miv replied carefully. Commander Draz is finding his support rapidly diminishing. Torres allowed herself a small smile. I understand. We'll maintain position and await further instructions. 6 hours later, Torres led a small delegation from the shuttle bay of the Vex Central Government Complex. Unlike her first visit 15 years ago, this time she was accompanied by an honor guard of Earth's finest soldiers and diplomats. The Vex greeting party was led by Elder Krill and Miv. Notably absent was Commander Draz or any of his military faction. Welcome to the homeworld, Krill said formally. This time, under better circumstances, we hope. That remains to be seen, Torres replied. They were escorted to a grand chamber where representatives from throughout the Vex Dominion had gathered. Many seats remained empty, a visual reminder of how far the once mighty empire had fallen. Krill addressed the assembly. 15 years ago, our military leaders ordered an attack on human colonies. We believed it was a demonstration of strength. Instead, it revealed our greatest weakness, our failure to understand the species we were dealing with. Murmurs ran through the gathered Vex. The humans did not respond as expected, Krill continued. They did not counterattack in force. They did not sue for peace. Instead, they hunted us. Patiently, methodically, relentlessly. For 15 years, they have dismantled our empire piece by piece. He turned to Torres. Admiral, you have pursued us across the stars. You have won. What does Earth require to end this hunt? Torres stepped forward. The chamber fell silent. 15 years ago, I came here with Captain James Walker seeking peace between our peoples. Instead, we found treachery. 3 human colonies were destroyed without warning. Millions of innocent lives were lost. She paused, looking around the chamber. Earth does not seek the destruction of the Vex people. We never did. But there must be justice, and there must be assurance that such an attack will never happen again. From behind her, an Earth diplomat stepped forward with a data tablet containing the terms. Torres continued to speak as the tablet was handed to Krill. The Vex Dominion will provide resources and technology to rebuild the destroyed colonies. You will surrender military capability equal to that used against us, and you will accept human oversight of your government for 50 years. A wave of clicking sounds, the Vex equivalent of shocked muttering, filled the chamber. These terms are, Krill began, non-negotiable. Torres finished for him. The alternative is simple. We continue the hunt until there is nothing left of your empire. Miv moved to Krill's side. Elder, the peace faction supports acceptance. The humans have shown restraint. They could have destroyed our homeworld many times over, yet they chose targeted strikes that minimized civilian casualties. Krill studied the terms carefully. And if we accept, the hunt ends. Yes, Torres said. Justice will have been served. Later, in a private meeting room, Torres spoke with Miv while the diplomats worked out the details of the agreement. "Where is Commander Draz?" she asked. "I expected more resistance." Miv's head tilted slightly. There was an internal security matter. Draz and his closest supporters have been detained pending investigation into war crimes. Torres nodded, understanding the unspoken message. The Vex had handled their own extremists. Was it worth it? Miv asked suddenly. 15 years of your life devoted to hunting us. Torres looked out the window at the Vex capital city. It wasn't about revenge. It was about justice and about security. Every spacefaring species needed to understand one fundamental truth about humanity, which is that we protect our own, that an attack on one human world is an attack on all humanity, and that we will never, ever stop until justice is served. Miv considered this a powerful lesson, expensive for both sides. Yes, Torres agreed, but one that will save lives in the future. The treaty will be known as the Agreement of Lasting Peace, much better than what we originally planned to call it. Which was? Miv asked. Torres' expression remained neutral. The submission of the Vex. As the diplomats finalized the details, news of the agreement spread throughout the galaxy. The message was clear to all who received it. The humans had hunted one of the mightiest empires in known space to the point of surrender, not through overwhelming force, but through relentless, patient determination. On a distant world, representatives of another aggressive species reviewed the reports with growing concern. They had been considering Earth as a potential target for expansion. The decision is unanimous. Their leader announced, Earth and its colonies are to be considered strictly neutral territory. Under no circumstances are we to engage human forces. An advisor leaned forward. And if they expand into our claimed regions, then we negotiate, the leader replied firmly. The lesson of the Vex is clear. Do not attack the humans. They will hunt you forever.